Welcome to the Evolving Women podcast, where growth, healing, and empowerment aren't just ideas, they're a way of being. I'm Teresa Lysam, and in each episode, I'm joined by an extraordinary woman, one who is boldly shining her light in the world, one who is bringing her real life experience to each and every episode. And you'll be meeting my guest co host for today here shortly. She brings her heart centered wisdom and her powerful story to remind us all that we are not alone on this journey. This space is your permission to evolve, to expand, and to fully embody your most radiant, authentic self. So let's evolve together. Hi, my friends. Welcome to Evolving Women. I'm Teresa Lysam, and I have a delightful guest co-host today, Terriane Palmer-Peacock. Welcome, Terriane. So glad you're here.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, you and me both. Now, I'm just going to give our audience a little heads up of who you are, just a little fraction, and correct me if I'm wrong, this May, you won the Australian national title in outrigger canoe paddling. That was just recently, a couple months ago, well, a little more than that. And then you're the second fastest woman in Australia. The first one is a 19-year-old. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That is incredible. And are you ready to disclose your age?
I have no issues. I'm 53, turning 54 next month.
Ooh, wow. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So you're 53 years young.
That's right.
Competing at a high level, obviously. And I just want to start like, have you already always been an athlete? Did you have to come to a point in your life where you wanted to try these things? Or give me a little bit of background how you achieved those or what got you there, what your mindset was behind that.
Look, I'd have to say I have been an athlete my entire life. So it's something that I think I was New Zealand aerobics champ in my early teens, and
Okay.
appears in that. Then I went into water ski, speed skiing. Which I would have to say is probably the most insane sport you could ever do. Like, we're talking about holding on to a piece of rope behind a speedboat going. The fastest I was clocked at was 97 miles per hour.
Oh my
So
gosh.
just insane. But I have to say that particular sport is probably the thing that gave me the best mindset in terms of everything else, because you had to have a good mindset, because basically if you fell off, you broke. There was no pulling muscles or anything else like that. You broke.
Wow.
So it was an incredible sport for mental aptitude, mental strength. And that's when I first probably got introduced to my first mindset coach. I had a nutritionalist. I had like the whole team
I bet.
involved back then. So that was amazing. I came to Australia. So I'm from New Zealand. I'm actually a Kiwi.
Okay.
And that actually got me the world champs in 1997 was here in Australia. So I came across to compete in those, and I actually had an accident 4 weeks beforehand, broke a bone. So couldn't compete, but ended up supporting one of our juniors as her observer and doing it that way. So that was a real shame that I didn't actually get a chance to do that, but it brought me to Australia. And the thing is, once in that particular sport, once you have a fall, you kind of get fear. And
I bet.
I'd been racing for probably 6 years, and New Zealand won lots of New Zealand titles and things like that. But the last 2 years, I'd had 3 falls. I cracked ribs, severe concussion, broke my hand, tore my ligaments in my knees. And so I just had that little bit, I didn't have the edge anymore. So I remember sitting in Darling Harbour in Sydney, and it was Chinese New Year, and there were all these dragon boaters doing all this dragon boat. I went, oh, this is kind of cool. And I was looking for another water sport. And 2 girls walked past me and go, you look really fit. What are you doing? I said, well, I'm not doing anything. Would you like to come and join us? So I started dragon boating, and the next year I made the Australian team. for the dragon boat competition. So our club won that. And then they introduced me into outrigging, which you can see a picture in the background there. That's actually me in a
Okay,
canoe.
yep, yep. The
Um,
long
Yep, the
boats. Yep.
long, think
Hmm.
Hawaii. So think
Yeah,
Hawaii, that they
yep.
do a lot of outrigging in Hawaii. And
Hmm.
so I got involved with that, and that was probably early 2000s. And I've been doing it ever since. I'll say I took a 12 to 15 year break in between, raising a family, doing that
Hmm.
sort of stuff, where I just came off, but it didn't mean I tried lots of different things, but I just potted. And it was about 3 years ago now. I'm just thinking how many nationals have I been to? So 3 years ago, I decided, no, I'm ready. My son's old enough now. I can get back to training properly again because I kind of like to do things. I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Oh, yeah, it
So
sounds like
I'm
it.
that type of person. So I was like, right, can I go back again? So I was all in. I went to my first nationals and went, oh, I think I've still got it. So the following nationals, I kind of went, I'm going to give it a go. And so last year I actually did exactly the same thing. So won in my category, second by 5 seconds behind the 19-year-old.
Oh, that's
Same
all.
19-year-old.
Holy smokes. But it's so impressive when you say you lost to a 19-year-old.
Well, that's right, and she's an absolute delightful, probably one of our strongest paddlers in Australia. So actually, she just won silver at the World Champs in Brazil. So there you go. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty stoked with my
Oh,
results. I'm
heck
pretty happy with
yeah.
where I'm at. I'm still racing
Woo.
open instead of senior masters, and I'm still competitive. So
Wow.
I love
But
it.
you took time off to have your
Yes,
family,
yes.
right? And then you decided to come back in and you had some fear, like that was you came back into the sport and then you had your injuries after you'd made that decision and you didn't let them bring you down
No.
and you overcame then. Yeah, my lips need to work better here today. You overcame them, but that fear piece, and I applaud you for that because some people, men and women both, when they get to that certain age, it's like, yeah, I've been there, done that. I'm good. I checked off all the boxes. Do you think it's that because you were such a competitor for so long, it's just in you, it's just an innate desire for you. So it wasn't that hard of a decision to jump back in?
No, I actually think it was turning 50. So for me, turning 50 was quite a pivotal moment. And I probably had two camps of people around me. One, well, oh my God, I don't want to turn 50. I'm getting old
Yeah.
and
Yep.
doom and gloom.
Yes.
And then the other side, we're just getting on with life. And for me, I kind of looked at it. So the question that I like to ask a lot of people, and particularly even my clients, is what's your number? And it can become, I didn't realize, but it can be confronting for some people. But I'm like,
Mm.
what's your number in terms of what age are you is your goal? I suppose the athlete in me is your goal to live to. Like, what's your number?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Hmm.
it's a really important question to ask because, like, when I first put this to my husband, he said, I don't know, 80. And he's 9 years older than me. He's 63. And I went, that means it's like just over, 15 years from
Right,
now. I said,
right.
oh, bugger off. But not only that, I went, oh, hang on a minute. If you're checking out at 80 or 85, that means I'm only 70, early 70s. I said, my number's 100. That means I've got 25 years on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Please mind my language, but don't be an asshole. You need to stick around a little bit
Yeah,
longer for
up your
me.
number, up your
Up
number.
your number, please. Right. And so I said to him
Wow.
and said, no, you need to up your number. But for me, what I did was when I looked at 100, I went, well, hang on a minute. I'm only 50. That means I'm
Mm-hmm.
only halfway through my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I'm only halfway through my life, the first half of my life has been whatever it's been, and I've certainly learnt a lot of, but I get to do the second half. And I have this picture in my head. Let me back up a little bit. I have this picture in my head where I'm at the pinnacle of the mountain. And so I get it. I'm at the mountaintop now and I'm on the downward slide. The end of the day, I'm on the downward slide. I need glasses now. I've got to really think about my training because it hurts a lot more. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things I've got to take into account now. But the downward slide for me, I think, is a choice. And it can be,
Mm.
for me, it can be a choice of water slides and fun activities and taking all the wisdom that I learnt in that first 50 years to be able to apply it to a life I want to live in the next 50 years. But for
Mm.
me, I'm looking at it going, I've got 50 years. That's a hell of a lot of time to be able to do an awful lot of things, and particularly with all the wisdom and experience that I now
Yes,
have. So
yes.
everything that I choose or decide that I want to do, I'm going to be able to do it a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, and with more purpose and alignment to who I am.
Oh,
So I
I
kind of
love
look
that.
at this whole next chapter of my life as being, or this next 50 years, as being just a series of water slides, and which one do I want to go down? So,
Oh my gosh, love that. So it's all
yeah,
around your perception. Like, do you see the glass half full or half empty? Are you buying
yeah,
into the stereotype? Are you buying into, messages from others, from social media, from wherever? Is,
that's right.
that certain age, age is just a number in my opinion, but still you can't help but be a little bit, swayed by what you're hearing, what's external to us. But I love that you just decided, you made the
Yeah.
choice. I think sometimes people don't realize they have a choice.
That's right. Exactly. And see, the way, one of the things that I teach in my coaching programs is that every day you're making just a series of choices.
Yes,
And you get to,
yes,
no matter where you find yourself, you get to choose how you're going to feel, react, and respond
yes.
in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. So you can choose something different. If things aren't going so well, it's just a matter of stop, pause, reflect, choose,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
choose.
for
That's it.
sure. Yeah, I just remember my mom when I presented something to her, she said, "Oh, no, 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 no. That's just how I am." Like she did not, she saw a wall there. She
Yeah,
didn't see that she could go through it, go around it, make a new choice. It was just, yeah, no, that's just the way I am. That's the way it is. Not from my opinion, not
that's
from my
right.
perspective and point of view. So I think that's just really inspiring and empowering. And those women listening, they really need to pay attention to that, I think.
Yeah,
I know sometimes we have to overcome our own old patterning, our own, old baggage that we've brought forward and really create something new for ourselves. But it's doable for everyone if they make that decision and that choice.
correct. 100%. My mum says exactly the same thing. Every now and then I might be complaining of a sore this or a sore that. And she'll go, well, you are getting older, darling. You are,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happens
Yep.
when you get
Yep.
older. And I'm like, well, not for everybody. It's a choice,
Mm-hmm.
mum. And I'm not
Yes.
choosing that as my reality.
And I like,
And oh, sorry,
please
I was
go
going to
ahead.
say,
No, continue.
you do have to. I think there are definitely some things like, I have to wear glasses now, or I need to, go get my eyes done. Training for sure. I have to be really efficient in terms of what I'm doing. I can't do it to the level that I used to, and I'll do things and go, oh, I overdid it. I need to back up. I have
Mm-hmm.
to have recovery. There's a whole heap of things that are different for sure, but I don't see them as limitations to what we can achieve. It
Mm-hmm.
just means we've got to get smarter or do things differently than what we've ever done before.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's
Love
kind of
that.
the attitude I come from.
So you're breaking the paradigms, the stereotypical age paradigm that we all see around us. And you're choosing something different. I love that. And you're
Yeah,
using your previously earned wisdom and bringing that forward and being more intentional, um, you know,
correct.
being more careful. And maybe when we're younger, we don't think about being intentional. We just do it and,
Yeah.
we're not being efficient. I mean, I don't know. I've never been a high level athlete like that. But, we don't think about it. We don't worry about it. Whereas now that you know better, you are
Mm.
being more intentional and more, you're paying attention to your body and you're making adjustments and you're back. Like, again, you can speak to that more than I can because you've been in that world where I have not. But is that kind of, what do you think about that?
Well, one of the things that actually, there's two things that came up when you were speaking then, Teresa. And the first thing for me is particularly women who are in our 50s and that. One of the conversations that I do like to have with them is that we have had the ability to live many identities. We get to choose,
Mm-hmm.
like I think about
Mm-hmm.
who we are as we're growing up. Then if we choose to have children and we take on that motherhood role, that is
Mm-hmm.
and that is typically a massive shift on a full identity shift from all of a sudden you were this being, you were this person, then all of a sudden, no, now you're this being that has this person, and it's completely different. Everything's different. I remember that's probably my biggest meltdown because I felt like I had to give up my independence in order
Mm.
to raise my son the way that I wanted to raise him. And that was huge for me, letting go. So that was a huge identity shift. But then when your kids grow up and they leave again, there's another identity shift. You're no longer that person anymore. So you get the opportunity to reinvent yourself again.
Yes,
Now,
yeah.
men don't have they don't have those same transitions. Their life is kind of like the same thing that goes like that, whereas ours is up and down and up and down.
Mm.
Like we have these abilities though to adapt and create new identities because by the time we reach our 50s, I actually believe most of us have already done an identity shift at least once in our
Oh
lives
yeah. Yeah.
already anyway as women. Even going from being the child to the woman through the menstrual cycle, that is an identity shift.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think women actually embrace the fact that we're actually very good at reinventing ourselves and creating new identities of who we are anyway. We kind of get to that place and go, oh, we're done. But it's like, hang on a minute. If you actually look back and look at what you've already done some
Mm.
incredible, amazing things already. And so I think it's reminding women, you already know how to do this because you've already done it. Whether you liked it
Mm.
or not, and whether you came through it with ease and grace or through pain,
Right,
whichever way,
right.
you did it because you're still here, right?
Right. Oh
You
my God,
came
I
through it.
love that. I love that awareness. Thank you for bringing that to our attention because you're right. When I look back at my life, you're right. There's these pivot points and readjustments and reinvention and new identities, exactly like you said. So I like when you kind of did this,
Yeah.
and that makes women more resilient, more adaptable, and even well, I won't get like into the whole power, women are the best or anything, but it does make us so much more versatile as well.
Yes.
Because but acknowledging that, I don't think women acknowledge that. Like you just said, like
No.
we don't realize that we've already done it. We do it whether we're being dragged through the mud to do
Through
it
it.
or if we're making
Yeah.
choices to do it. And it's done with
Yeah.
intention. But we really need to applaud ourselves and pat ourselves on the
Yeah.
back for that because it's happened to every single woman. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that I kind of say, look, you have to have a look at that because that's why I also do believe, and this is a huge generalization, but women age better than men because of their ability to adapt, because they've already had to do
Hmm.
it so many times. But one of the other things that I work a lot with, and this is probably the main thing that I'm doing at the moment, is I work with clearing resistances from people's what
Hmm.
I call unconscious agendas. And I think if you can recognize what that is, so the way that I explain it is that typically when in that young childhood, we'll have things that happen to us and we code it as a certain way. And then from the ages of about 7 to 9 onwards, that's just the way it is for us. And we
Yeah.
take these unconscious agendas all the way through our lives. The way
Yes.
that I like to look at them, though, is they're not things to stop us from doing what we're doing. They're things to become aware of and going, oh, that's my unconscious agenda, because it's not trying to keep you stuck or keep you in locked in a position. What it was doing is back then it was trying to keep you safe. So
Hmm.
it
Yes.
might have been, you know what, if I achieve great results, if I'm the achiever, that's me. If I'm the high achiever, then I'll get love, or I will belong, or
Hmm.
I'll get more, I'll get love from my mum and dad, and I'll
Hmm.
belong to the family more when I'm this high achiever. Okay, so I need to achieve more, and so that's what keeps us safe or belonging. The two things
Hmm.
that most kids are wanting in their lives. And what happens is we develop these what I call these unconscious habits or beliefs that we then take through. Well, so now it's like, oh, I must achieve. I'm always raising the bar for what my next level was. So before I actually became really familiar with all of this, one of my key traits that I used to do all the time was burnout. I would
Hmm.
always be overworking.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
would burn out myself that I would have, I think I had my first I say breakdown, where I had to just stop, absolutely just stop when I was 14, then again in my mid-20s, then again in my 30s. In my late 30s, I started getting migraines, and then they weren't physical. They were purely my body's way of saying, stop, you need to take a
Mm-hmm.
break. And that was what I call the unconscious agenda of the achiever that's always trying to prove
Yeah.
themselves,
Yep.
always
Yep.
chasing validation through goals. And I think the key is once you can become aware of what your primary unconscious agenda is doing for you, you can then stop and sort of say, okay, what's my superpower in this?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you talk about
I know.
superpowers,
I love
Teresa.
superpowers.
I also talk about, okay, well, if the achiever is the one that's overworking, causing burnout, typically has paralysis, fear of failure, that sort of stuff, well, then it's also got a superpower though. And the superpower is you're not your results, you're not your productivity, you're not your goals. You are enough, and you can channel incredible focus into bold, high level achievements through your purpose. That's the superpower when you spin it in the positive way. And
I
so I look
love
at this
that.
and go, everybody has one or two unconscious agendas that they've dragged with them from their childhood that was there to keep them safe, was there to protect them, but they don't need them anymore. And so the more we
Mm-hmm.
can recognize the behaviors and the patterns that we're living from
Yeah.
and where it tries to stop us, then the easier it is for us to turn that into our superpower to then be able to use it in a way that helps us get our goals.
I love that. And I
I don't
want
know
to
if that all
say,
made sense.
oh, it did to me. You said one or two. I would say we probably have a ton, a ton that we've brought forward with us. Those, what do you call them?
Yeah.
Hidden,
Unconscious agendas, I call them.
unconscious
Yeah.
agendas. Yeah. I have a whole slew of them I've been working through my entire life. So one or two is like, ooh, that'd be great if it was just down to that many, that few. But I love that
Yeah.
you're speaking to changing or using them, leaning into them, discovering what the lesson is, discovering the hidden superpower. I love that.
Yeah.
That is a fabulous, fabulous way of speaking about those. And there's so much there that we can dig into. But I kind of want to go back to your own fear
Yep.
that you had to overcome because that was, that was something that you could have just turned you off and you could have just gone about your business and finished your life in a nice, safe, secure way, I'm sure. But you decided to overcome those injury related fears that,
Yep.
with all, I'm sure there was lots of self doubt. And so, what was your way of overcoming those fears for yourself personally?
So for me, it's a pivot. It comes down to your focus. And for me, in those types of moments, so I made the choice to give up my ski racing, which I loved. But for me, it was like, well, what is it I love about this? Well, I love my sports.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I love performing on the water. I love, and I think it's for me is I'm always looking at, okay, so what do I want? In fact, my whole life, I was thinking about this morning when I was driving home from dropping my son off to school. And I mean, my whole life is all about asking the question, what do I want? What do I
Mm.
want? So yes, those fears were there in terms of my injuries, but it was like, well, what do I want? I said, well, I want to be on the water. I want to be doing sport. I want to be on the water. And so I was thinking about, oh, I could take up windsurfing. Do I like windsurfing? Can I do windsurfing? And I was trying to think of all these things that I could possibly do on the water. And then of course, when you're putting it out there, like the goal for me, it was like, well, what do I want? I want to play a sport. I want to do something that keeps me active that's on the water. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's not focused. So you can choose to have the fears. The fears are always going to be there. They're
Yeah.
always going to
Yeah.
be there. But you can choose to place your focus and your energy on them, or you can choose to place your energy and focus on where you're going. And I
Oh, I
often will
love that.
say to coaching clients, and then I said, look, you're driving in the car. I said, but you're spending your entire time looking up at the rear vision mirror, looking behind you. That would be the same as the fears. Is that I
Mm-hmm.
said, you're looking at the rear vision mirror, take it off because you don't need it. It's like take your rear vision mirror off because when you're driving down the road of life, you actually only need to look at where you're going because
Love that.
your wisdoms and your experience from the past that you need, they're part of who you are now. So you don't need to look behind you to find out what were what were the things that you needed to learn, those lessons and learnings are who you are now. They're part of the being that's in this moment now. So you don't need to look behind you. You just need to look at, well, where am I going and what do I want? And I think, I'm doing a beta program. I created a new program, and I'm 2 months into this beta program. And some of them, we're 2 months in, still are struggling with the question of what do I want? And I'm
Mhm.
actually unpeeling back I say the layers of the onion
Yes,
for them,
yes.
because what they gave me up front was just so not who they were. And so part of the program is actually just pulling back the layers. And each time we get, okay, is that what you want? Yep, that's what I want. And then they'll come back to me about 2 weeks later and go, do you know what? That's not what I want, because you've just unveiled this to me.
Yep,
And do you know
yep.
what? I was saying that I wanted that because of XYZ, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it's what I want. And so
Mm,
we're actually moving through layers of, what do I want? Just
mm.
getting people to really be able to connect with who they actually are now and
Yes.
see themselves for who they are now. And I think that's a big issue with a lot of people. They actually don't know what they want because
Oh
they
my
don't know who
gosh,
they are.
yes. Yes, exactly. Oh my God, I totally agree with you there. But I love your focusing, you're refocusing. You're not focusing on the fear. I love that you asked questions and each question was removing a layer, just getting down
Yeah,
deeper and deeper, deeper. So, we've all heard like the better questions you ask, the better answers you'll get.
that's right.
So even asking yourself better questions. So I love that. I want to be around water. I want to be on water. I want to be in a sport related water activity. Like all of those, you're just going down, getting it
Yeah.
more refined. So that is a good tool, a good technique for all of us in whatever we want to apply it to.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
100%.
it sounds simple, which they all sound simple till you get in there and do it. And
Yeah.
then
I
it's.
say they're simple, they're not easy.
Exactly.
You know what
Simple,
I mean?
but
They're
not
simple but
easy.
easy.
And
Yeah.
then your fears are always going to be there. So figure out a
Yes.
way to work with them, be friends with them, or ask them
Yes.
to step aside and, I hear you, you're good. Like acknowledge your fears.
Yes.
And I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Like maybe be grateful for them pointing something out to you, but I'm good. I got this though. So,
And that's exactly my wording. Is I often will say to people, invite your fears for a coffee. Have them sit down at the table
mm,
with you and let them know, I've got this. That
love
wording
that.
exactly. I say, look, I've got this. Tell you what, you sit here and have the coffee. I'm going to go and do this thing. Just know that I've got your back. And that's it. Do you know? So I
Hmm.
kind of look at that sort of stuff as exactly what you're saying there, Teresa, is acknowledge them and accept them and love them, because
Yeah.
they're part
Yeah.
of who you are. And if you can do that, then it stops the forcing and, I suppose, the wasted energy. Because as
Mm.
the athlete, I often say to people, look, one of the things that I like to do is that it's the shortest point to the goal and the most efficient way to get there. Let's do that.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
how I race. That's how I race with everything. So, but you know what? I have to tell you, even bringing the whole sporting aspect, I've only actually embraced that in the last probably 12 months. I was going
Mm.
to say 18 months. I went, it's not even 18 months, it's only 12 months. And that was through a mastermind of women that I was with who said, why aren't you doing anything with your sport, Terri? And I went, oh, no, 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 that's kind of not me. They went, everything you do is sport related. I went, oh, that is true. So sometimes you can't see what's in front of you until somebody else
Right.
actually points it out. And
Exactly.
now I'm embracing it because I look at, well, everything I do is based on, well, how do I win races? Well, I look for the shortest point to the goal. I make sure I've got all the rules of the game up front. I know where I'm meant to go, and I look at, well, how can I get there the fastest way possible with the least amount of effort and energy? So I apply that to everything. And I
I
went, oh, of
love
course, it's
that.
sports.
Love that. And so, even as a coach, you
Yeah.
are a life coach. Can I call you a life coach?
You can call me whatever you like.
Okay.
I
But
have a life,
even
but you can call me Bob.
but you even coaches need coaches. You need somebody outside
Correct.
of your head to kind of mirror things back to you or point out things because we're too close to them. You
Yes.
know, we have all these
Yes.
trees covering, and we can't see that particular whatever. And sometimes it's nice to have an objective third party person looking at everything that we got going on and just pointing out a few things. And sometimes that's all you need is just a
Yeah,
couple of things revealed to you, and then you're good to go. You can keep on moving forward. But I
yeah.
love that even though you're teaching this, you're helping people with it, you still need some help yourself.
Absolutely. With everything. And do you know what? I'm always looking for, here's the sporting side coming in again. I'm always looking for what's my next goal, whether it's in my business, whether it's my sports, whether it's food, trying to come up with something that's more exciting in the kitchen than what I normally cook every night. I'm always looking for what's the goal that I'm doing?
Hmm.
Where am I now? And then who can help me get there in the fastest way possible? So I'm always taking on new people for certain things that I'm achieving, or the next
Mm.
thing that I want to achieve. Somebody's already done it better
Yeah.
than I know how to do it right now. So who are they? And I go and find them. And even in my coaching business, like people laugh when I say this to them. And we're just having a chat to see if we want to take on the coaching agreement. One of the things that I do let them know up front and go, I will fire you before you will fire me. And they
Mm.
went, what do you mean? And I said, I'm not that long-term coach. I'm that coach that when you come to me, there's something that you want to achieve. I'm going to help you achieve that. And then I'm going to move you on because I've done
Mm.
my job and it's time for you to find the next person for the
I
next thing
love
that you
that.
need.
I
And
love that.
so, whereas my husband does coaching as well, he's got clients that have been with him for 7 years. And I go, oh
Mm.
my God, I don't know what I talk to them. I'm like, I just don't get that, I'm like, yeah, no, I can't imagine doing that. But, different for me, I'm like, well, what do you want? Let's help you get that. And then
Hmm.
when the energy goes dead, I'm going to fire you and I'm going to move you on. And I have not had a client
Mm.
yet who has been ready before I push them out the door. And I kind of say, look, go and watch the movie Nanny McPhee. I don't know if you've ever
Okay.
seen the movie Nanny
Yeah.
McPhee. Yeah, and she's like, when you need me, I think when you want me, I won't be there. Or when you need me, I'll be here. It's that
Hmm.
same sort of thing. And she's like, no, don't leave, Nanny. I still need you. But she goes, and I kind of go, oh, that's kind of like what I do. I'm a Nanny McPhee. I'm out. You're done. The energy's gone flat. I've given you everything I can possibly give you. It's time for you to grow with somebody else now. And I'll
Ah.
typically give them their next person or go, look, I recommend this person or I recommend that
Hmm.
person. But that's just I kind of think it's about life is for living. It's not about staying
Hmm.
stagnant. It's
Oh
about
my
moving all
God,
the
I
time.
love that. And I heard not too long ago some kind of quote about life is not a DIY project. Like you can't do it yourself. You,
Yes, nice. I
some of
like
us think
that.
we do, like
Yes.
especially here in the States, like we're all independent and we can do, even as women, we got this, we can
Yeah.
birth the baby and go tend the fields all at the same time, or one right after the other. And that's like a false image. That's a falsehood
Yes.
that we've been
Yes.
fed. And we need to, especially now, we need to get back to that understanding and awareness that we need each other. We need to be connected. We
Yes.
need community. I mean, the right people, you don't want somebody that's going to pull you in the backward direction. But yeah, I just love that. It's not DIY. We need to as social beings connect. And I love that you're connecting them with the next person. You're helping them achieve a certain goal, then booting them out of the nest, and then helping them get
Yeah.
connected to the next person. But yeah, we all need somebody, whether it be a group or one individual at a time, to help us evolve and pull us forward.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's actually a really big shift towards that. Like I look at it from a technology perspective and go, technology was meant to connect us all, and we're more globally
Hmm.
connected than we've ever been.
Oh
Like,
my
look at
gosh,
us.
yes.
How would we
Yeah.
have come onto this podcast together if
Yes,
we
I
weren't looking for that
know.
connection? But I think people are more lonely than they've ever been right now
Yes, yes,
and
I've
feel
heard
more
that.
disconnected than they've ever been. And so I've never been a big community person. I'm not that great host of the party because I'm normally the one that, oh, what's something fun? And I'm the one that's in there as opposed to the one making sure everybody's having a good time and things like that. And
Hmm.
I will invite some of my friends who I know are great at that and say, look, I really suck at this. So can you help me make sure that everybody's got a drink or everybody's got this and somebody do the music for me? Like I'll try and make sure I've got people in those right roles because I know I'm not great at it. But I really look at it, and I think it's been a movement for me in the last 6 months that I really feel, or I hear a lot now, is that people want to belong somewhere
Yes,
and they
yes.
want somewhere to go to. And so, that's something which I've actually just like literally 2 weeks ago started, was a community. And I don't know what I'm doing in it, but primarily because I kind of feel this need that people want to go
Yes.
somewhere. So I kind of figure, well, my messy somewhere is better than nowhere. So
Yeah.
let's start there. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
what a lot of
yes.
us need to do, is the messy somewhere is better than nowhere. So whatever you're doing at the moment, just start it. You'll figure it out as you go, because that's certainly how I've been doing things lately.
Oh, thank you. I needed to hear that because I too, I know, like just what you
Yeah.
said, the need for community is even more intense than ever before. And so, yeah, I'm on the verge of creating a group as well, an evolving women community. So that's something
Ooh,
I'm just literally on the verge of as well.
we need to talk some more about that
We
then.
do need to talk some more. But I do want to just, and I know we need to wrap this up because we've talked quite a while here, but I love on your website that you never want to give up on anybody. You don't want them to give up on
Mm.
their dreams. Like you wish you had somebody such as yourself, it sounds like, to help you move forward in your life. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I'll try and make this story a short one because I know we are long in the tooth. But I was actually late 20s. I was walking down the road. I'd just gone to see a Celine Dion concert with my gay friend. I was over there for work at the time. And it was the next day after an amazing concert. I was just like in awe of the concert
Mhm.
in its entirety. And the next day, I was walking to my hotel where I was doing work, meeting up with my colleagues, and a truck went past. And when the truck goes past and you get that brush of wind?
Mhm.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
that brush of wind hit me, and it was like a sucker punch to my stomach. I literally doubled over as if I had just been punched by an NFL player, and just started uncontrollably sobbing, absolutely
Wow.
sobbing. And that was the moment for me. And what happened was, when I was a teenager, dancing
Mm,
was my passion. It was my love.
mm,
Now, long story short, I'll give it all. My father was killed in a motorbike accident when I was 12.
mm,
My mother, they were separated at the time, my mum and dad anyway. My mum decided that I was independent at 16 and wanted to live her own life. So she left and went sailing around the world. So I finished high school on my own. I worked 4 nights a week at a restaurant, and I danced. Dancing was my
mm.
passion, it was my outlet. I would jump on my push bike and I would ride 10Ks to my dance lessons, and I would do that 2, 3 times. Anyway, there was an audition for the New Zealand School of Dance, and they only took 12 dancers. There were 400 of us that auditioned.
Wow.
I had no ballet training. I started dancing when I was 13. So, in my dance class, there were all these wonderful ballerinas that could do these lovely split leaps and were so dainty.
Mm-hmm.
I was the elephant in the room. But I loved it, right? I loved it. And this was the days of jazz. This was Michael Jackson. This was the 80s. This was Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
MTV, Solid
Yep.
Gold dancers, all of that sort of stuff, right? That was the era. And so for me, I went to this audition. I auditioned. And anyway, long story short, I got accepted one of the placements. Now, at the
Wow.
time, I also got accepted to go to university.
Mm,
And there's a big story around that as well. So I had these two choices. I could dance, or I could go to university and become an accountant. Um,
mm.
the feedback that I got from my mother, from my people around me, well, you can always come back to dancing, but you need to get something solid behind you. You need to go to uni. You need to go to uni. You need to go to
Mm-hmm.
uni.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I had a boyfriend around me, but no other support, like not a
Mm,
single person. And I remember thinking it was almost like, it was just like, which one do I do? Which one do I do? I
mm.
chose and went to uni. Went to university to become an accountant. My first job out of university was the accountant for a law firm. And I said, oh my God, my life is dead. I was also an
Oh.
aerobics instructor and working at a pub. And I said, I enjoy being an aerobics instructor and working at the pub more than I enjoy being the accountant at this law firm. I'm out. And so that was the
Wow.
end of my career as an accountant. But I
Wow.
look back, so going back to Vegas when I'm doubled over in the middle of the street in Vegas and I'm crying my eyes out, was
Oh.
because what I enjoyed about Celine Dion's concert the night before was I was mesmerized by the dancing and the
Oh.
dancers. So her singing is fantastic. Sorry, Celine,
Hmm.
but your singing is fantastic. But the dancing and the choreography and the sets and everything that they did
Mm.
was just took me to a whole new level of just joy. And that moment on the street was where I realized I had given up on myself.
Oh, oh,
And
wow.
that was the moment. And I looked, and when
Mm.
I, like, it still makes me emotional now, I've got to say. And when
Mm.
I look back at it, I go, do you know what? I just needed one person. If I'd had just one person who had said to me, go for it, like
Mm.
looking back on my life, I would have been a successful dancer because that's just who I was. Whatever I decided to go for, I became the top of everything in my life. That's how it unfolded. So, had I gone for that, I would have made an amazing career out of being a dancer. I have no doubt in that. But I needed one person,
Oh, wow.
just one. And
Wow.
so that has probably shaped a lot of, and that's what, I just woke up one morning, they said, you need to do a podcast. It needs to start about this. It needs to be about this story. Was that, well, if I can be that one person,
Mm.
somebody else, then that's who I'm going to be. And so I suppose everything that I'm doing now is whatever you want to do, whatever you're passionate about, lean on my belief, lean on my
Yes.
energy, lean on my knowledge, wisdom, whatever you need, my courage, whatever it is that you need to take that next step. I'll be your one person to help you do that, so until you get the courage and the things that you need to be able to do it for yourself.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah,
I love that. And
that's
I
the
love,
shortest I can make it.
well, thank you for sharing that. But I mean, you didn't have ideal situation growing up.
No.
And look at you now, like you made different choices. You knew you could do it. You trusted yourself. You had these pivot points. You had to make some choices. You took the safe path based on
Mm.
some people around you. But I love that you said if you had one person, it doesn't take a huge army.
No.
It doesn't take, I mean, a community is nice, but just that one person to see you as you are and know that this is your passion, this is what you love. And yeah, I would have been the person to say, go do the dancing because,
Yeah.
you're only young for a certain amount of time.
Well, and
You
that's
can
it
always go
because,
back and be an
yeah,
accountant.
it was the other way around,
I
right? It
know.
was
I
actually the other way
know.
around. It was like, well, I'm only ever going to be able to do this dancing while I'm young. You can't do this
Right,
when you're
right,
older. The
right.
accountancy is always going to be there. And so,
Exactly,
all the
exactly.
advice I was getting was not the great advice for me to follow my passion, but it was based on their fears
I was just
and
going to
their
say that.
lives,
Yes, yes.
not,
And their
and wanting to,
limitations and
yes,
what they just wanted you to be safe and take that safe path and,
yeah,
be able to have a good job that was going to pay your bills. Like,
yeah,
dancing's not going to pay your bills. That was their story
that's
instead of
right.
encouraging you to take a chance, trust
Yeah,
yourself. Like you said, you
that's
already
right.
knew that you could do these things.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
and I think that's just so beautiful that you took that and you have translated that into your passion for helping people that might be in that
Yeah,
or a similar situation. So that's a
yeah.
beautiful thing to be there for people in that way. So thank you so much. And if people wanted to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Well, I tell you what, I would love to see people come join me in my community that I've just
Ooh,
started up,
yeah.
in my messy community that's unfolding. So it's on the school platform. So you can go to school.com / the switch. If you look up the super conscious switch, is what I've called it, then come and join me in the community there. Like we've literally only started for a week. So I would love to have more people come in and join me in there, but that's where I'm having these types of conversations. And in fact, I'm just about to post a post in there about your GPS. What's your goal? What's your current position? And what's the next step you got to take? And supporting
Mm.
going, okay, so how can we support you in doing that? What do you need? What help do you need? So those are the types of conversations that we're having in there.
Oh,
So I'd
love
love
that.
come and join me in the school community. Just look up the super conscious switch.
And we'll put that contact information in the description with this video, with this recording. So they'll be able to connect with you there. Are
Yep,
you on a platform, social media platforms where they can look you up? And I know you have a
you can.
website. Yeah.
Yep, I've got the website. I'm on Facebook. So Terri-Ann Palmer on Facebook is my handle. I don't say Instagram, like I have an Instagram, but I'm never on there.
Yeah.
And my YouTube channel will actually be, do you know what? Today is my launch of my YouTube channel. So that will be starting.
Yay!
So if you just do a search on Terri-Ann Palmer, you'll get me. So I like to say Terri-Ann Palmer is actually my maiden name, and because I had a business before I got married, I was like, I'm not giving up my maiden name.
Mhm.
And so Peacock is my married name, but I say to people now, just look for the longest name on the list. Like in hindsight, it's a really long name. You know? So,
Oh, that's
you know,
cute. But
but if you look for
Terriane
that, you'll find me.
Palmer is the
Yes,
one that will probably pop up then.
yes,
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
pop up more things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like I said,
definitely.
we will drop that information in with this video, so they'll be able to just click on it and find you. But I
Yeah,
am so
perfect.
honored and blessed and privileged to have you as a guest co-host on this podcast. So thank you so much. Just everything you said, I resonated with so much of it. And you offered so many insights and gems of wisdom and just to inspire other women. So I thank you so much, and I love what you're doing out there in the world. And thank you for offering your what you do, shining your light as brightly as you are. So
Oh,
thank you,
thank
my
you,
friend.
Teresa. I was going to say
So
thank you for
appreciate
having
you.
the platform to share this with. So
Oh,
it's
my
almost like
pleasure.
right back at you, girlfriend.
Oh, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody who's listening in and stayed this long in. If you find that you know somebody who can benefit from our conversation, please share this episode, subscribe, go check out Terri-Ann, subscribe to her new YouTube channel, and we'll just continue the conversation in other ways. So thank you so much, Terri-Ann. Thank you to everybody listening, and we will
Thank
see you
you.
the next time.
See
Bye-bye.
you next time, guys.